So, here goes. A few years ago, my cousin's business closed and he ran into some issues with the law, leaving him with a debt and defying. A number of my family members pulled some money to lend him, and I lent the bulk, equivalent of USD 25K, of that amount. His parents are unemployed, so they were unable to help much. He started a new business in second-hand car dealings and stuff, and I never thought much about it, as I assumed he would pay me back when he was in a more stable situation. One day, my younger brother informs me that my cousin took his family to Paris, 12-hour flight away, for a vacation. I saw it was posted on my cousin's Facebook page, but I was unable to view it, even though we are connected there, which means he probably hid it from me. I met up with my cousin after he was back and asked if there was any updates on the amount owed. He was surprised and asked about me suddenly bringing it up. I said I was aware that he took his family to Paris and asked why I did not at least pay a certain portion back. My cousin got defensive and accused me of trying to control his life like he's bankrupt. I said that since he's in a much better financial situation, I would expect some repayments to start. I got my parents to inquire about their other siblings, my other uncles, who had lent money to check on their status, and it turns out that my cousin had already repaid them, about 7,000 USD in total. I got pissed and called my cousin to demand an explanation. He said that since I was the richest of them, I didn't need the money, and he would repay me last. Along with some choice words about me hounding him, including, "Dude, just admit it that you're broke and need the money." I said that if I didn't hear any plans for repayment within the next few days, I would explore other avenues. He dared me to sue him before hanging up. After a week of silence, I approached a debt collecting agency I had used frequently for my own business. Lawsuits and whatnot were out of the question, because lawyer fees would eat up half of the amount, and even if the court awards me that amount, the onus still falls to me in terms of collecting it. A week after that, my cousin calls me and curses me for embarrassing him at his workplace. Turns out the debt collector had headed down to his place of business and created a commotion, and warned him that if he did not want to discuss an installment plan, they would visit the house and his wife's workplace. I insisted that he speak to my debt collector about the issue regarding payment from now on. My relatives, including my parents, said that I was wrong to drag an outsider in, and I was too harsh as well, especially given I was aware of how the agency operates from past experience. Debt collectors are legal here, but many of their methods skirt the law in terms of legality. I'm aware, but I honestly don't see any other avenues for someone who is deliberately being difficult. Not the a-hole. It seems like he is taking advantage of you. Collect your money and move on. Not the a-hole. You are owed a large sum of money, and I'm guessing in your country, a debt collector is a very common way to deal with things. Your cousin was probably never going to repay you. This way, you get the money, and he gets to keep his kneecaps. Not the a-hole. He took you and your money for granted, started doing well and intentionally took a vacation behind your back, and gave you bad attitude when you asked for your own money. So no amount of niceness was going to make him pay you anyway. I hope he pays you now that he knows that he can't get away with the money or his behavior. Haha. I, 39 male, got married to my wife Sarah 3 years ago. My stepdaughter Audrey, 14 female, used to have a good relationship with me. But sometimes when she gets upset, she says some pretty harsh stuff, and lately she's been acting out and would literally yell at me for just asking, "How are things?" My wife says I should take a step back and let her have some space, which is what I've been doing for the past 2 months. Yesterday, while my wife was at the stores and I was watching the news, I saw my stepdaughter walking out of my bedroom. I thought nothing of it. She's usually there for a pack of tissues, her mother's laptop, or other stuff. We finished dinner, and before I went to bed, I went to check my closet and found that there was money missing. $200 to be exact. I was keeping the cash to give it to my brother the next day to help pay for his wife's hospital bill. I was confused. I asked my wife if she went shopping with my money, and she said no. I gotta say I had suspicions, but didn't want to jump to conclusions. The next day my stepdaughter came home with shopping bags and looked delighted. I asked her where she was. She said at the mall. I asked where she got the money. She said that her mom gave her the money. I asked her how much, but she got mad and told me off. Said I was being a jerk and that I ruined her mood. I was pissed, so damn pissed, because that was the money I was supposed to help my brother out with. I waited till my wife got home, and I told her what happened. My wife started begging me to not confront her daughter about the money she took, because that would make her hate us both, and made excuses saying she's just a kid, she didn't know, told me to hide the money elsewhere next time. I lost it. I told her to pay the money Audrey took, because that was not okay, and since she chose to let her get away with that, I shouldn't try to parent her. Trust me, way too many people told me not to try and be a dad to her. Then she should be paying me my $200 back. She tried to argue about how money is always more important to me, and that I don't care about her, or even try to understand why Audrey is doing this. The whole evening was quiet. I sat there in silence, unable to even tell my stepdaughter what she did was wrong, because that's her mom's wish. Not the a-hole. Something is seriously wrong here. The fact that you have money missing and your wife does not want you to bring it up is concerning. Not the a-hole. It's kind of sad that she doesn't want you to parent stepdaughter, because somebody needs to start parenting her. Don't mention she's stealing because she'll get mad. She cares more about her friend than being her mother. Her daughter's behavior will get so much worse if she gets away with this. Call out stepdaughter. You don't have to do it as a parent. Do it as her crime victim. Tell stepdaughter that she needs to give you back the money or you'll file a police report. Not the a-hole. The girl is 14. She isn't a small child with no idea of money. She is a teen that is ruining her life with petty theft attempts that will turn into worse crap later on. Your wife saying you need to step back is a bad idea as well. You live with this girl now. You are her father, even if it's just in the sense that you provide and she needs to listen to house rules. $200 is no small amount, and she took it while you were going to help your brother with a hospital bill? You need to nip this now. Talk to her. Demand she either return the items or work off the debt to you, as well as likely grounding her for this. Your wife needs to step up her parenting game, or be quiet, and let you handle this kind of crap. My late wife passed away 3 years ago. I've been married with my current wife for 6 months now. My son, 15, disrespects my wife and would always hurt her with his words. I tried to get him to get used to his new life, but he always says he can't wait to leave. My son has always wanted to go to college. He's aiming to go study at his favorite, which is out of the state. He wants to be a doctor. It's his dream. His mom passed away from cancer, and he said he wanted to be a doctor, do researches to help people with this type of disease. I thought that this shows the good side of him and how empathetic he can be. I just don't get why he doesn't get along with his stepmom. She's always nice to him. Her feelings were hurt when he yelled at her for cleaning up his room this morning. I told him that if he doesn't start treating my wife with respect, then I won't save up any money for his college, and will just send him to a tuition-free community college. He got mad at me, told me I was trying to buy him with my money, and that I was being a horrible dad. He brought up his friends and how lucky they were to have good dads. I cut the conversation and told him to go to his room. He started crying and said that I care about what my new wife wants more than him. I was just trying to give him consequences for his behavior, but it just got worse. He doesn't want to talk to me anymore. You're the a-hole. It's not nice for the woman you've been married to for 6 months to clean your 15-year-old son's room. It's hella invasive. What are you thinking? If this is your best example of your son disrespecting your wife, you need a wake-up call. You have a kid who wants to be a doctor, is still mourning his mother, and mid-puberty your wife is invading his privacy, so your reaction is financial blackmail? He's 15, and you haven't started saving for his college yet? Sounds like your threat of not paying for his college tuition is a hollow one. Little chance you'll actually come up with this money in a few years' time. Sounds more like your wife died, and instead of making sure your son was okay, you took care of yourself, and even married someone your son didn't like without first putting in the work to try to build bonds between them. Now, you're trying to control an angry, hurt, grieving teen with an empty threat. You're the a-hole. You're the a-hole. 3 years only? He's grieving. 1. Your wife shouldn't be cleaning up his room. He's a teenager and needs privacy in his own room. Have him clean his room, not the stepmom. 2. By telling him this, it shows you put your new wife over him. I'm sure he feels like he lost to both parents. 3. Have some compassion and get him into therapy. As a 15-year-old, I'm sure he's not ready to have his mother replaced. I personally would have waited 3 more years to remarry and focused on my grieving son rather than a new woman. I, 41 female, have a daughter, 16, Sophia, fake name. The background to the incident is that Sophia lives in her own 1-bedroom apartment, 3 floors down from my husband and me. She spends most of her time in our apartment, which is where she grew up, but moved downstairs over the summer. The other important background is that Sophia has quite a close relationship with my dad, but no real relationship with his wife, Sally, who she has barely seen throughout her life. Sophia's birthday is next month, and my father will be visiting from abroad for the celebration. He asked if his wife could come, and after asking Sophia, I said yes. Hotels are quite expensive in our city, so I offered for my father and Sally to stay at our apartment, fully expecting that he would decline, which he did. I presumed they would find a hotel and left it at that. A few days later, I got a text from Sally asking if she and my father could stay in my daughter's apartment while they were visiting, so that we can all have our own space. I thought this was impudent, but told her I would ask my daughter and get back to her. Sophia said she didn't want to come and stay upstairs because she was going to have a small party at her apartment one of the days of her birthday week, which she can't do at our apartment, and that her best friend would be staying over 2 nights that week. I told Sally no, and she persisted, saying hotels were expensive, etc. But I told her that Sophia had said no, and that was final. The next day, I got a call from my dad saying Sophia had upset Sally, and I needed to speak to her. He said Sophia had sent Sally a rude text uninviting her to the birthday celebrations. I went down to Sophia's, and she showed me the conversation. Sally had taken it upon herself to text Sophia, asking that she vacate her apartment. Sophia again said no, and Sally kept pushing, saying how she and my father couldn't afford to go if they had to pay for accommodation. The text messages were extremely patronizing and manipulative. Sophia replied saying that my dad could come on his own, and since Sally is the reason they have to stay at a hotel, and Sophia didn't mind if she didn't come. Sally didn't reply, but obviously she'd been tattling. After seeing the whole thread, I told my dad the way I see it. Sally attempted to push around a child, and she picked the wrong one. I said Sophia had offered a viable solution to the problem, and if they couldn't afford to pay for the trip, my dad was welcome to stay with me. My father has since been texting me multiple times a day, asking that Sophia apologize, and saying I'm making him choose between his wife and his granddaughter, as now Sally is pitching a fit. I don't think I'm making him choose. No one said she couldn't come. But he seems a bit desperate, and I know Sally can be very temperamental over things like this. So I'm beginning to think maybe I should have asked Sophia to apologize. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It's amazing when a parent actually gathers all the facts instead of assuming that their child did something wrong. Well done. 100% not the a-hole. What I find most infuriating about this is that Sally expects Sophia to sacrifice having her friends sleep over 2 nights, as well as the get-together with all her friends, just so she gets her own space. The whole purpose of them coming into town is to celebrate Sophia's birthday. Yet she seems to have no problem ruining her birthday week and every other way, simply for her own comfort. Sally is selfish, entitled, manipulative, and a jerk. Stick to your guns. If they choose not to come, that's on them. It shows exactly where their priorities lay. Not the a-hole, but I will say the living situation is very weird. It's very strange to refer to Sophia as a child when it suits you, yet she lives in her own apartment. You're giving her adult independence, yet babying her when it serves a purpose. My 27 male friend, 24 male, and his wife have been married for 3 years and have 2 small babies. Recently, another woman reached out to his wife to tell her that a few years back, while they were living in separate states, he was in the military, they slept together. This has caused a great deal of havoc to their marriage, and things have been super tense. However, the wife has been extremely toxic lately, and although I understand she is hurt, she's taking advantage of this situation to get her way on everything. Most recently, she basically guilt-tripped my friend into buying an expensive cat because, in her words, she deserves it. They already have 5 other cats and 2 small babies, and not a lot of economic resources to add another expensive cat into the mix. My buddy agreed as a way to keep the peace. He's trying to save his marriage, but at what cost? She's doing whatever she wants, leaving him, the kids, to go out late, making him do extra work around the house, even though he works a very physical job, and now the whole cat situation. I told my wife the situation and how I think she's being unreasonable, but my wife says that his wife is probably very hurt and isn't dealing well with all the emotions that come from finding out he cheated. As I said, I can empathize, but this is no excuse to treat my friend like dirt. There's a healthy and unhealthy way to deal with the situation, and she's choosing the unhealthy way to go about it, and causing more damage. My wife is now mad at me. She said she will take the wife's side on everything, and support her in whatever she needs. He's the one that messed up after all, and he needs to deal with the consequences of his actions. She says he should give her whatever she wants, but where do you even draw the line? When will he stop paying for a mistake from years ago? This has now created a rift between me and my wife, but I don't think I'm being the a-hole here for taking my friend's side. Look, I know what he did was awful, but 2 wrongs don't make a right, and she's just being spiteful and selfish, getting her way in everything she wants, and guilting him into big decisions that will only hurt their family even more. You're the a-hole. This is no excuse to treat my friend like dirt. My dude, it absolutely is. You're right that his wife is not reacting appropriately, since this marriage is clearly long dead. She should just divorce him. But your friend is the one responsible for killing it, and now he has to face the consequences of his own actions. I can understand helping him out if he needs a place to stay or something, but do not take his side. He is absolutely the one in the wrong. When will he stop paying for a mistake from years ago? The mistake might have been a few years ago, but the wife just found out about it. Him keeping it a secret for all these years shouldn't lessen the anger she rightfully feels. You basically told your wife that cheating isn't a big deal, and that the wife should get over it. Your friend screwed up his marriage. He is reaping what he sowed. You are dumb enough to put your marriage on the line to defend him. If you don't separate yourself from your friend's affair issues, your wife will draw that line for you.